Hey everybody, final thoughts time for Castles Burgundy, the special edition. But before I get to that, folks, this is actually an updated version to my final thoughts, because at the time I filmed it, there were a couple things I didn't know. And so, if you want to know what's new Magoo, then just skip right to the end of the video. There's a link down in the show notes that will take you right to two big, very important updates that you might want to know about if you're thinking about pre-ordering this new special edition. So, that will come at the end, and now, let's hear what I had to say. You know, folks, I don't really have to beat around the bush here. I have long been on record as Castles of Burgundy being my favorite Stefan Feld game of all time, and Stefan Feld is my favorite board game designer of all time. Castles of Burgundy has been a mainstay in my top 10 games forever, and I have played every iteration of it that's come out, from the original Burgundy to the anniversary to Burgundy the dice game to Burgundy the card game. I've done all the Burgundies and the spin-offs, the Tuscanies, and all the rest of it. And I keep coming back to the original because it's just so perfect. It is the perfect encapsulation of what Jen and I are looking for in gaming. So puzzly, so tight, so many cool dramatic moments, so much to noodle over. And this new version, there's no choice about it. This is very special. It is the best addition to the game ever. Of course, it goes without saying that the new production from Awakened Realms, who have really established themselves as one of the premier board game publishers in terms of component quality. They are miniature masters. They are all about the double or triple layer boards, depending, and all the rest of it. Metal coins, neat miniatures if you want them, although I believe, folks, you have to hit that eye in the top right corner screen to go check out the pre-order page. To find out, I think the miniatures can be sold separately if you want to keep costs down a little bit. Because, yeah, I mean, these are awesome castles. But you know what? They're nice looking castle tiles as well. They're nice in red. They're nice in burgundy. So you can go either way. But, having these things that lock everything into place. This is the first time Jen had ever seen one of these. These are game changing. They are so cool to keep things from sliding all over the place. And it locks in to our dual layer board and all that. Really neat dice that are easy to read and fun to play. A big step up from the original dice that we've had. Even the anniversary edition just had regular old dice as opposed to these cool deluxe dice. But all of that aside, and I'll come back to it too, because I've actually prepared contrast and comparison for people who want to know, but I'll save that to the end. I should actually talk about the gameplay. Of course, like the anniversary edition before, this basically collects all or almost all of everything that has been coming out for Burgundy over the years. Again, you can hit that eye and go find out the particulars. I have not seen the pre-order page yet, so I'm not quite sure what all comes there, but it seems like if you pick up this game, you will have years worth of replayability with all the different modules that have come out over the years, including one that's never been available before, the Vineyards, with these very, very cool things and a whole different domino tile laying game that goes on that supplements. Doesn't replace. It just means, hey, if I want to focus on this, well, that means I might not be doing much shipping this turn. And it just gives you more flexibility. It does not add to the complexity of the game or the length of the game. This is a brilliantly implemented and probably one of the biggest and most ambitious expansion bits of content for the game. So if you want this is where you come to get it. But all the other stuff that has come out over the years as well. There's a full list of them in my rule book. I'll list them off. Again, my rulebook might not be finalized either, but it should give you some idea. Expansions, additional duchy boards, numbers 11 through 18. New types of hex tiles, which was the second expansion. The border posts, which I was playing. The white castles, the inns, the trade routes, the team game, the solo game, the original solo game, shields, and now this new one called Vineyards. So there are so many different modules you could turn on and off every time you play. But that's not all. There's the original solo mode, which I thought about showing, but what I really wanted to show was the new solo mode that has been designed by, let me look at it here. What's it called? Shatoma, where you are not just playing against, a simple automated, but a real player who you can anticipate what they're going to try and do. And so you can get the full experience. The Shatoma, which is designed, my rule book does not say here. Yes, it does. Nick Shaw, Dave Turchy, and John Albertson. I have not played, but I've read the rules for it, and it sounds great. It basically gives another use for the white die, because every round the white die says, hey, what depot gets loaded up like normal, but it also indicates very clearly this round your automated opponent really cares about those particular depots or cares about those type of depots. Then they roll their die and see if they can get a match for what it is they want. And if they can't, they'll start going around. So just like a human player, you can say, oh, I see what it is you want this turn based on what the white die says you want. And I want that too. And so you can still get that same tension. And you can see, oh, they're doing set collection. They get they don't use workers, but they do pretty much almost everything else in the game. So you can see, I can't let you have that. And I can see you're kind of prioritizing that right now. Oh, do I take that first? Or you're first. Are you going to take the thing I want? Oh, okay. You clearly want this other thing even more. So I played a lot of solo designs from Turkey. They're complex, but they are rich, and they are the closest you can get to playing against a human player who you can make plans around, and because you can anticipate what they want to do, but they can still surprise you just like a human. So the new solo mode, the Shatoma mode, looks great as well, and that's a new thing that you can't get with the original or the anniversary edition, just like the vineyards. And then of course there are these absolutely gobsmackingly amazing tower miniatures and the player miniatures too. These are really, really cool looking. Although, again, those are, I believe, a bonus separate thing. So, Burgundy has always been amazing. It continues to be amazing, but now it looks and feels as good as it is in terms of how much it makes you work here. It fills up your heart with joy to see these wonderfully produced games. And you know what? A lot of this is fluff. You don't need to have the cool little lock-in stuff. You don't need miniatures. You don't need them at all. The original game still plays just as well as it ever did. Except this game is significantly more playable than Burgundy has ever been before in the original or the expansion because of these. Because it comes with bags and the tiles are two-sided now. Because now's as good a time as any to go on. Let's now go on a field trip to the Burgundies of yesteryear. Let's see, where was that? All right, so here's where we are now. The new board, the new layout where you can actually see the dice. It looks like they're kind of clamped into the ground. There's stuff growing around them and stuff like that, so it's a nicer look. Here's a thing halfway through. Hey, if you're not playing with, if you didn't get the miniatures, that's okay. The actual tiles for the castles still look really good too, if you want to save a little bit of cash. But you know, the coins, the dual layer recessed boards for keeping track of everything. Oh, I've knocked over all these shipping tiles. So that's where we are now. The really cool new dice and all of that. Let's go back to the beginning. Here's what Burgundy used to be. And don't get me wrong, I've always thought this was nice. It has a clean, spare, elegant presentation. But most people have always thought, oh, it's not really that great looking. Neither are the worker tiles. Neither are the silverlings they used to be called. Now they're just called coins. Neither were the trade goods, which didn't even have pictures showing you what the goods were. Everything was a box. Neither were the tiles. Often running into problems like, wait a minute, Is that yellow or is that brown? You zoomed in really close, you can tell, but often it's kind of, where do these things go? All these kinds of things. Plus, if you got these monastery tiles, well, you got to go look it up unless you can just figure out what this means. What does that mean? I know what it means, but for a new player, it's like you're constantly having to look things up. And the cities, they don't even bother. You just have this little summary of what all 12 cities do. Unless, of course, you're playing with one of the expansions, and then not everything is listed there for all the different types of buildings. So, this is where we started. Many, many years later, the Anniversary Edition came out, and we upgraded to this. And, this is certainly very bright and vibrant. The tiles got thicker. The original tiles, people always hated on how incredibly wafer thin they were. They are now, decent size width tiles. And hey, the trade goods actually have pictures of what you're trading. That's nice. And the workers are still not the most exciting looking thing in the world. The coins are a little bit nicer now. But the tiles, hey, the town, well, I don't know what that building does. Do you know what that building does? Nope, now they took it off of the main board, and you have to have a separate player aid to look up and constantly keep looking up, right, what do all these tiles do? Because on the other side, there's just, the tile you pulled it from. So you're constantly having to double and triple check. Always been a pain. Unless you become a Burgundy superstar and you can memorize what the dozen or so different buildings that you're going to get. Now, the science tiles are interesting because, hey, They kept the icons, but they tried to put pictures of the buildings too. But the icons got so small compared to where they were originally, where, oh, there's no picture of the building, just a picture of the icon so that you could read it and try to decipher it. Then you have to decipher it and you can barely read the icons. So this was the anniversary edition, which is certainly a step up, although in some ways it was kind of a step back. But then we get back here, and I can't stress enough just how incredibly important this is. That when you are setting up, you don't need to have a player aid. You don't need to have a bunch of stuff on your board. You can see everything. You can see even the stuff. All right, well, how does the boat work again? It tells you right there. The tutorial is built into the board. And this is a simple change that they could have done at any time by just including some cloth bags and then making the tiles two-sided. Of course, they didn't want to do it because, these are in English. I don't know what other language options are going to be available, but I'm sure there are going to be a few. And you can check out check out the pre-order page to know what other languages are available. But if you can read English, this is so much better than trying to decipher trying to decipher this. What is this? I don't know. That helps. What is this? Maybe I know, maybe I can't, but it's too small. So the boards are bigger, beautiful, more colorful, more arted up, but at the same time, the usability has gone through the roof. And I don't think I appreciate, because I've had Burgundy for so long, I've just kind of come to terms with its weird little peccadillos. But now, I could never go back. Compared to being able to just look at the board and say, oh, what's that building do? What's that building do? I don't have to double, triple check, or those two buildings look very, very similar. Is that oh no, that's the one with two roofs, and man. My old copies of Burgundy, they're Gonzville. This is the only Burgundy for me right now. And whether you decide to go in extra for the miniatures, these are wonderful. These are absolutely lovely. They're absolutely gorgeous. And by the way, I'm sure the final ones, because Awakened Realms is known for their high quality miniatures. These are just prototypes I've got, and they look so good. Burgundy has always been one of the best. It is better than it has ever been. The Vineyard expansion is great. I haven't played it, but the new solo mode, which by the way, you can also take the Shatoma and bring it into 2-player games as well, which is very, very interesting. I look forward to trying that. Having a third opponent grabbing things in a 2-player game. There are some things that have always bugged me about Burgundy. I wish they would have fixed. I wish they'd stop calling them phases. It's ridiculous to say the game takes place over 5 phases when generations is perfect. Hey, over 5 generations, we built a few castles. That makes sense thematically, and it's just easier to think because a phase is a subset of other things, but in this game it's not. I don't know why they didn't fix that. It drives me nuts. And there's a handful of other little things like that they just kind of, hey, look, we're not rocking the boat. Burgundy is Burgundy. We're not going to try to outdo Burgundy. But another thing, Burgundy is famous for being, if you don't play it too, I know if you play this a 4-player game, it's a long game. And I would have loved another expansion in here, kind of like the Terraforming Mars Prelude expansion that lets you just kind of get to the deep stuff quicker. I would love to see a rapid Burgundy. Of course, you can play Castles of Burgundy, the card game, if you want a faster version of Burgundy, of course. Or Castle of Tuscany, for that matter. But I still want my full Burgund to Burgund. I want my Burgund von Burgund to be quicker, especially at a higher player count. That would have been a great opportunity for them to have Feld say, hey, Stefan, what's a good way to maybe make this game take half as long? Instead of everybody taking 25 turns, could we come up with an alternative where everybody still gets the feel of the growth, but you only take 15 turns, so it doesn't have to take 3+ hours if you're playing at full player count with slow, determinative players? Because the more players you have, the more options there are, the more there is to keep track of what everybody else does. I played Burgundy as a higher player count game. Not for me. For me, it's a perfect 2-player game, and now maybe a perfect solo game as well. So there is more they could have done, but I am picking this because what they have done are amazing. I love this presentation. I love the huge increase in usability. I cannot stress just how much more simple it is to be able to play and write. Okay, what does that tile do? Oh, it tells me. Or I got this a while ago. I don't remember. Do I remember how this works? I can just check on the other side. It should have been this way from the get-go. And it finally is now with the perfect final form of the Castles of Burgundy, the special edition. And that was the run-through, folks. Oh, it was so much fun. I love this game so much. But okay, before we head out, folks, into the sunset, let me give you those 2 updates that are very important. 1, While they didn't bother me and Jen at all, a lot of people have expressed concern about the design of the dice, that the filigree on the outer edges makes it hard to read the pips. I've played it in real life, didn't have a problem, didn't even occur to me that it would be a problem to anybody, but enough people have expressed their doubts about it that publisher Awakened Realms has gone back to the drawing board and they are redesigning the physical look of those dice, so that hopefully that's one less thing you have to worry about. So that's the good news for people who are hardcore dice aficionados and had a hard time with the design as it was. Okay, you know how I just finished talking about how awesome, how amazingly awesome it is to have the text on the back side of the tiles to really up the playability of the game? Well, there is a very, very cool upgrade available if you're going to pre-order the game that gives you acrylic tiles. And acrylic tiles are wonderful. They feel so nice in the hand and all of that, just a nice high quality option to get. The problem is there will not be text on the back of those acrylic tiles. So if, like me, you are all about that text, and if you can read English, you're gonna probably want to stick with the cardboard tiles because the acrylic tiles will not have the text. That is so they can be language independent because, hey, not everybody reads English, and so they're trying to be as wide open as possible for that upgrade. Now, don't worry, the game will come with player aids, and so, hey, people have been playing Castles of Burgundy for decades now using player aids to keep track of what the tiles are, and if you want those sweet, sweet acrylic tiles, that's what you'll be able to do. But if you want the text, bear in mind it will not be on the acrylics. Alrighty, that's it, folks. We are done. Thank you very much for watching. Have a very, very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.